Hiya, it's Avalon here. I'm just going to review each of the Tears for Fears albums. So, first up, The Hurtin'. This was their debut album, which came out in 1983, and it's a concept album, as the name might suggest. It's basically all these songs which are related to depression and anxiety. Both Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith came from dysfunctional homes, or so it's said. Oh, there's just like a really big bee over there, out the window. Okay, so most of the songs are about that sort of thing. Stuff like The Hurtin', Pale Shelter, all of them really. Memories Fade, Suffer with the Children. So it's a bit of a depressing album in a lyrical sense, but on the whole, it's a very good album. It's one of my favourites by them. It's a gorgeous album. The tracks people really know from it are Mad World and Change. I'd say it's worth getting the bonus edition because you have a couple of extra tracks like The Way You Are, which is a great song, yeah, you have some extended versions of some of the songs. It's definitely worth getting for a true fan. And then we have their most popular album, Songs from the Big Chair. Now this was the album that had Shout on it, and that's what most people think of when they think of Tears for Fears. They think Shout, Shout. It also had Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Mother's Talk. And this is from 1985, and it is a classic 80s album. It really has that 80s kind of feel to it. It moved away from the depressive side of things, but you know, there's not a love song on it at all, apart from Head Over Heels. Oh yeah, that's the other really big one on it. But that's the thing I love about Tears for Fears. They don't make love songs, and I'm so sick of love songs. And it's not because I'm bitter, but it's just because there are more things going on in the world than romance, and all of the stuff you hear are about, you know, love. And I like political music. I like music about depression and about real things, and they're really good for that. Songs from the Big Chair is my least favourite album by them though, but that's the one that everyone mentions and rates. But it's my least favourite album by them, and that's because it was a little bit too happy. What I mean by that is a lot of the songs were really upbeat, and I like them more cerebral stuff. We move on to their third album, which is my favourite, The Seeds of Love. And in fact, I'm so crazy about this album that I have the LP as well. And the really big song on this was Sowing the Seeds of Love, and it has a beautiful video. It has a gorgeous artsy video. If any of you know Peter Gabriel, you might know the song Sledgehammer, and I would say the video is something along the lines of that. It's very arty, it's very creative, and this is how I first got into this band. I was watching TV at like 3 AM one night on a music channel that shows classic songs, and that video came on, and I just thought, wow, you know, the song was great, the video was great, and Roland was great. He is the backbone to this band. And yeah, I mean, when I saw this video for the first time, Roland had this like enthusiasm about him in the video. Kurt is just kind of there, but Roland had like this enthusiasm that I just thought, wow, this is like a real band, you know, a band with passion. You're not talking about little pop bands that just sing whatever people tell them to. It's like a proper band, and this is a great album. You've got Woman in Chains, the first track, which is a great song. It's been interpreted in a couple of different ways though. Yeah, wow. Advice for the Young at Heart was also released. That was released as a single, but again it was a little bit too upbeat for their kind of thing. My favourite song on this album is Swords and Knives. It wasn't released as a single, nobody knows about it, but it's a gorgeous song. Also another one called Standing on the Corner of the Third World. It's a beautiful song. a lot of their fans were kind of split about this album because their usual sound is, you know, stuff like Shout and stuff like Everybody Wants to Rule the World, all this upbeat 80s stuff, and they're like a bit of a rock band. But this album is really soulful. They teamed up with the soul singer called Oleta Adams, and she brought something into it. It's a very soulful, it's not a rock album in any sense. So it's a bit, they took a change of direction there, which some people received well and some people didn't, but I thought it was the best move they ever made because I love that kind of thing. I like soul, and I mean, you can tell just from the artwork that it's you can tell it's an interesting album just from the artwork, you know. I know they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but you can tell from this artwork that it's a heck of an album, really. And oh yeah, did I mention that I have the 7-inch for sowing the seeds of love? So that was the last album they made together until the next like 20 years. And what happened after they split up was Roland started doing solo work, but he still kept the band's name, Tears for Fears. So a lot of people might have thought they were picking up a genuine Tears for Fears album, but it was just Roland, really. And that's what this was about, Elemental. This came out under the title of Tears for Fears, but it's really a solo album by Roland Orzabal. And it is an amazing album. It is brilliant. It is. Do you know what? Even if you don't know about this band, I wouldn't even recommend that you buy The Seeds of Love. I would recommend you buy Elemental because it's really eclectic. All of the songs on it, there's something for everyone. Elemental, the title track, phenomenal. Cold, Break It Down Again. My favourite on this album has to be Mr. Pessimist, which was a bit of a stab at Kurt Smith when they broke up. But it makes a great song anyway. Fish Out of Water is also a stab at Kurt Smith, so it's not really a concept album, but it's got a couple of tracks on there that are a little bit hostile. It's a phenomenal album. A really, really good album. Then in 1996 we had Raoul and the Kings of Spain. I can never pronounce it. Is it Raoul or Raoul? I don't know, but yeah, it's Raoul and the Kings of Spain. That was what he was named before Roland, and they changed his name a couple of days or weeks after he was born. It's a Spanish name. This album was going to be called Raoul and the Presidents of Argentina, because apparently Roland was related to some presidents from Argentina, but he thought that it didn't make a great name for an album, so he changed it to Raoul and the Kings of Spain. This is one of my favourite albums, like, in the world. This is one of my favourite albums. Like, if I had 3 top albums, I think this would come in there. It's a rock album. It's a rock album, but it's a very cerebral rock album. None of the singles were really popular, but some were released. You had Raoul and the Kings of Spain. You had Secrets. You had God's Mistake. Yeah, those were the only ones that were released as singles. It's an unknown gem. It's an unknown gem, really. And again, I would definitely recommend that you buy the special edition if you are a fan, because it comes with 7 extra tracks, like a whole other album, even though it's all on one disc. But those tracks are brilliant. They're not remixes or anything like that. They're original new tracks, and they are brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. Some of them are better than the things that are on the actual album. So this is a great album. That was in 1996, and then the next thing that Roland came out with was this, Tomcat Screaming Outside. And this was released in 2001, so there was a little bit of a gap between. And I've always thought that the cover of this is really funny, because it looks as if someone's photocopied a picture of him and that's made the album, but it's meant to be like that. It looks as if it's a fake copy or something, but it's meant to be like that. This time he went under his own name, so it's Roland Orzabal, not Tears for Fears. And this is, I know I keep saying this, but this is a phenomenal album. This is brilliant. It's so different. I mean, okay, first they went through the rocky like, you know, from the Heriton and songs from the Big Chair. That was all really rocky. That was like 80s rock. And then you went into the Seeds of Love, which was soulful. And this has a couple of drum and bass tracks on it, which is like really random, but it works so well. Really, really good. Ticket to the World is one of my favourite songs, which reminds me of my very special friend Jocelyn.